everyone. All right, we'll get started with the usual, which is updates in an instant. Mark and Jordan, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Miranda. This was, excuse me, excuse me. Um, this was a little bit of a quick release this time since we had Aspen Con and now PLA this week. So a little bit quicker than we've seen a lot of times. So let's take a look. Jordan will cover the Aspen Lita in a second, but for Aspen, you're going to see a lot of partner priorities and bug fixes and that kind of thing. So um, a lot of things that we heard from Aspen Con. So updates to e-content. So for Boundless, we are updating the settings to include the ability to scope adult, teen, kids, functionality that we've had for Overdrive. So extending that to Boundless. Those settings are ready now. We'll see down here. Well, where's the, oh, down in the scopes. If we look at the scopes, we're going to have include adults, include teen, and include kids there. Of course, customizable. More CarLX updates. So as we bring on additional CarLX libraries, um, we've added the ability to just the self-registration is a little more generic, so that multiple different libraries could do that. Since Nashville was first on that, they kind of had a few hard-coded things. So that is more generic now. As part of that, we've added an institution code for the library so that you can determine who that's done. That's used then in those APIs um, to do the self-registration. So that's a setting that will need to get updated after release. More evergreen stuff. So we we're always looking at the UnAPI, which is the API that is used to update in real time the mark data and item data, um, and reconciling that with the mark export that we get once a week for people. So now if an item is or a copy is unholdable, we're going to indicate that and use that to mark that, just kind of clean up that user interface so that people don't have to see a hold button if the record isn't, or all of the items on a record aren't holdable. Um, so that indexing is all set. Um, we also had a little bit of a bug sneak through a few months ago. This will be a popular fix. So the always use pickup location um, was not being preserved if you set that while placing a hold. That is going to work again. So good to see that fixed. Um, Catalogers meeting, one of the things that came up last time was not using the 500 field to determine Blu-ray DVD and 4K Blu-ray combo packs. The feeling of all the catalogers there was just, hey, that's it's a note. It shows up there sometimes. We shouldn't use that to determine format. We are still using that 500 field for a few other things, but that's mostly like vertical files and that kind of thing. Some Koha stuff prepping for the 2311 release to come out. We've got a few partners going live on that soon, in the next month, this month, I think. So just a few little updates for that, being able to take advantage of some of those new features. Let's see, Palace Project. With this, we think we're done with Palace Project, and we're really able to move on to a few Biblioboard updates soon. So one of the things that we're doing is automatically loading the Palace Project collections into Aspen. So if we go into our settings for Palace Project, we're going to see down here after we index, there's a list of all of the collections within. And for our test collection, there's just two. We have Palace Project Bookshelf and the Palace Marketplace. But with this, we'll have the ability to rename those. So in collection, there's, or in California, since that's a statewide kind of statewide subscription to Palace Project, individual libraries will have that. So you'll see marketplace accounts for Monterey and Santa Barbara and lots of different places. A lot of times it's maybe not super helpful within Aspen to say like, hey, this is the collection that Monterey buys versus this is the collection that Santa Barbara buys, so that you can rename those now, um, and kind of group them all together so that it's just a little easier to do. Um, we're also updating what has circulation, what doesn't have circulation. The idea is anything that has circulation, we want to index more frequently so that we can determine availability. And anything that doesn't have circulation, we can just update once a day. So Palace Project only updates their feeds once a day. For that type of material, there's no reason for us to fetch it more frequently. And then include an Aspen will allow us to completely hide an entire collection. So if for some reason you're bringing in content, say you don't want some of that content that another library has purchased, even though it is available to you, maybe you don't want that. Or maybe there's a collection that's a little more special purpose. Since Palace Project brings in all kinds of content, we just want to give you the ability to curate that a little bit more. So you can always mark those as don't include in Aspen. We're also allowing scoping Palace Project titles. Same thing, kid, teen, adult, so that's all set. Some of these changes, so the Boundless scopes and the Palace Project scopes, they're almost done. We wanted to make sure to demo them just because they are settings changes. PLA is a distraction, so didn't quite get all of that done. It'll be on test servers Monday, Tuesday for sure, so that all of that's working for us, but not quite today, but really close. And definitely by the time we roll that out, that's all set. Other things to call out, Jordan, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about self-checks, but we now have the ability to do some additional settings in Lita there. More good Sierra stuff. We're always looking at additional tweaks and changes for Sierra. So we found a few holdings that didn't have a mark tag associated with them. So when we're loading those mark holdings, the way that Sierra exports them, sometimes we get a mark tag and sometimes we don't. We're now processing both, so that all of that information shows so that you can see what your what holdings you have for serials. Some more good libcal stuff, little tweaks there. Somebody pointed out that the Arial font is going away, so that is replaced with Arimo. So that's there. We're doing a lot more with unit testing as well, and we think that's going to be good for bringing on new developers, as well as helping to make sure that all of the APIs that we're using with Lita and that some third parties are using as well work all the time, and just makes it easier for us to test and deliver additional stability and that kind of thing. Those are the big things I wanted to cover. And this time, all of the code contributions were from Bywater. Thank you to everybody that contributed. And I will turn it over to Jordan.
Okay, let me see if I can share my screen and get Lita going for you. Okay, so one of the things that we got a lot of feedback with on Lita is that for a bunch of the new features that we're doing, they require additional permissions. And sometimes there's some questions about, why does the library need this permission? What's it used for? And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion for people with their devices. How do I enable those permissions? What do I do? So what we did is, I'm down here in the More area. Oh, and I was already in there. It's going to remember where you are. So when you open up More, you have your preferences. And in here, now we have these device permissions. So what this does is it lists all of the special phone permissions or special device permissions that Lita might need. And then if you click into one, it's pretty cool because first it tells you whether it's allowed or not allowed. But then it also down here tells you what it's used for. So Aspen Lita, this is our beta version, uses this information to help you save events for your library. And if you click update device settings, it will take you to the device settings in your device outside of Lita. This is just a simulator, so I'm not going to take you there. Actually, there might be one. It kind of takes you there, but it won't let you do everything. So I'll give you another example. Notifications here. It's set to not allowed because it's not a real phone. It's just a simulator, but how we use your device notifications to deliver push notifications to your device for these reasons. And then if you click update device settings, it tells you open your device settings. Then what do you do once you get there? Tap notifications and then choose how you'd like it. So if I click here, again, not really going to work because it's a simulator, but you kind of get the idea. So yeah, that's the fun thing to show you with Aspen Lita. Other things with Aspen Lita, Mark mentioned something with self-check. So we're going to be transitioning where we can and where it's available to be using the ILS APIs for checkout. The first one that we did is with Koha. Those APIs are available in Koha 2311. So as soon as you have Koha 2311 or later, Aspen will automatically switch you when you're doing the scan and go checkout. It will automatically switch you to using those APIs. And we'll be looking at using other APIs later as they become available. And then the other thing that I just wanted to mention, there's a few other bug fixes if you look at the release notes, but one to call out is that Lita actually works better with offline mode now. So it won't, just same way with Aspen, it won't let you log in. It's not going to cause any errors or anything like that. So with that, I will stop sharing and I think I'm turning it over to Miranda.